Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, it's the Layer5 websites meeting for Monday, July 12th. We have just a couple minutes for each of you to list down your agenda items. So if there's an area that you've been working on or that you're thinking you might like to work on, now's a good time to write it down. Let's fill in the agenda, build it out a little bit. We've got maybe 2 minutes left before we start. I'll note that Josh Patel, who's normally hosting this call, he's wrapping up an internship this week. And so he's trying to get everything in order. And so he's trying to spend as much time as he can completing and being successful there. So he'll be back in full swing on this coming Monday next week. And so he'll be quite a bit more free because he'll be examless and internless. What's funny, it's kind of weird because he'll be a lot less, but in most respects, he'll be a lot more full here. So he'll be spending a bit more time. Now, there's one project as we tee up the agenda. Nikhil, that we should touch on. We should have as a persistent topic, the Layer5 NG, or I'm sorry, Learn NG. Wow. So I'll put that down. Okay, who else has topics? We're at 5 after, so it's time to get going. Who else? Is anybody new on the call for the first time or hasn't been on this call for the first time? I'm sorry, hasn't been on this call before? Anybody? Cool. I know that I've spoken with each of you in the past at some point. I just don't know, have all of you been on this call before? I assume so. But if not, be sure to say hi because it's different people on different calls.
I think Haridarshan might be new to this call.
That's Haridarshan's invitation right there. We'll just wait awkwardly in silence until they say.
No, actually, I'm not new to this call. I had attended a call previously where we had discussed 53 minutes about just the select.
Okay, got it.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Good. Haridarshan. Okay, well, I'll take a note about the announcement that I just made. So Josh is with us at the moment, so which is fantastic. If he drops out early, we know why, and so I'll keep my fingers crossed. Josh, while you're here, do you want to host for a bit, or do you want to sit in the background in case you need to drop?
No, I'll just sit in the background, but I'll provide inputs wherever necessary. You can go ahead with hosting.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So, well, first up is Debo Priya. And by the way, I've got your name down, Pat. It rolls right off my tongue.
Yeah, you're saying it perfectly now.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect.
I'll share my screen again. Okay.
All right. The community members page on Layer5.io. Okay.
So the changes I made was over here in this drop down. Initially, there were only these options. So I've added the badges as well. So when you go to a badge, it displays the members with that particular badge, all of them. Yeah. So the question I had was, in the issue, it was mentioned that you have to create a separate drop down for the badges. But I thought if there were two drop downs on the same page, it'll look a little clumsy. So I'm not sure how to create a separate badge or whether this is fine because I've merged it all into one drop down here. Was I audible?
Yeah. So I'll say this, that for Anita and Aditya and everybody else in the call, this is an example of a topic where expressing an opinion, it doesn't get any easier than this. Like everybody has an opinion on this one. Um, so if you haven't argued for why we should do something one way or the next, like this is a good one to jump into because so originally there was a suggestion here that we take the existing dropdown and add a second dropdown, one to filter on badges and different types of badges on people's profiles. The other one was to just filter on the status, the role and status of people. And so Deborah Prio is suggesting like, oh, it might get a little awkward if we end up having two drop downs. You know, what happens? Would we have a third at some point as well? Like that could be unwieldy. And so she's put together this, she's merged them into one. And her question, and so basically she's looking for feedback. Like, what does everybody think?
Yeah, I actually feel the same thing that if we put like two drop downs on this page, it'll not look good at all. Like if there are two drop downs side by side or on top of each other as well, it'll really not make that much of sense. Instead, like maybe we could keep just one drop down where we put only the badges and not the active members or anything like that. Or even this for that matter, but this has like a way too long of a drop down, so that also looks bad. So but two drop downs just doesn't look good to me. I don't know what do others think.
Cool. I'm taking notes as we go. So actually at this point, we've got Devo Priya and Aditya, sort of two counts, two votes, so to speak, for single drop down. And Sayatan.
So I think there should be a possibility of having groups in the drop down. There may be a group name, and then we have like we can have a name like projects, and then we have the drop down for those five or the all the projects, and then we have the status or activity, and then we have the other the like all members, active members, and this. So I guess there would be a component where we can have the group for the drop down as well.
Yeah, even I guess that would make much more sense than this.
So I think we can have the user can, when he navigates to one of the options in the drop-down, we can give him the option of selecting active members in front of the option or non-active members. That's what I.
This is great. This gives me so much hope, so much confidence that you all are concluding on exactly what Josh took the words out of my mouth, actually. It actually, this whole conversation gives me a lot of confidence because I was the one, like out of haste, just kind of off of my hip. Like I think last time we met, I said, oh, hey, why don't we have like another drop? Why don't we have a way of filtering based on badges? And I had like offhandedly suggested, let's have a second drop down. So one you all have figured out that maybe that's becomes unwieldy, like maybe there's something better. And then two, Devopriya not only like had the idea, but then went ahead and just like did it so we can get a feel for it. Like it's so much easier to it's so much easier to reason over and try something, try something out when there's a prototype done, when it's been implemented. That makes it very easy. And then yeah, Josh is, and the rest of you are, I guess I'm curious, you're concluding in the right way that like in the, like 20 years ago, the way that you would have done like a category or a grouping inside of a component like this, or inside of a, what is, you would have put in a selection that was not actually a selection. It was like a dashed line, or it would say like the category name. It would say like roles, badges, and status or something. But that was before, that was back when it was HTML3 or whatever it was. And so I'm curious to know what those categories are, like what this type of component is capable of being styled to have in terms of categories. But it sounds like it's an overwhelming majority for people saying, let's go with a single one. Let's try to just organize within there so it becomes obvious that the things that you're filtering on, you're filtering by badge, by status, or by maintainer. I think a second question becomes, okay, what if I want to know who all here is a maintainer and a meshmate, or a maintainer of service mesh performance? Well, by the way, Devopriya, we'll take a couple of notes on maybe the styling, but one note that was called out is that there's an accidental missing D, the letter D in landscape, and then Image Hub. Hopefully we can remove the hyphenation and just have a capital H. On SMP, we'll go ahead and spell it out because it's not popular enough of a project for people to know outside of here to know quite what that is. So it would be service mesh performance. That does make it a little bit long, but and then the O in operator would be capitalized. And then if you could, and I think probably you didn't get to this just yet for a couple of reasons, but you'd end up using the badges for each, the logos for each of those, the badges, instead of the meshmate logo.
Oh, yeah, that was, I think, yeah, I was thinking of changing all these logos. I'll get into that.
Oh, nice. By the way, I don't know, little known fact in case everyone isn't aware, but that logo that's being used, that icon that's being used for each of the badges right now, do you all know what logo that is?
That is the Meshmate logo, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Cool. Cool. So what do people know better? Do they know the Service Mesh Performance Project, the CNCF project? Do they know that better than the Meshmates? No. I don't know. I guess either way it wouldn't have been bad, but it sounds like Meshmates are more popular than SMP. So, okay. Cool. Does anyone, or Devopriya, it sounds like you've got your feedback. Anybody else have something else on this?
So I just wanted to add, like, we have two options. Either we do the group thing, or either, as you said, that if we want to add multiple filters, we can have the checkbox like multi-filter select also, if we want to have that. But still, for that, even we'll wish to have it into a group, because without group, the like all of these categories are not the filters are not exactly the same category. So anyway, we would want to have a group. So like the option is only about whether to have multi-select or not.
This is anybody, how about Ayushman? Do you have an opinion on that? What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking of that only. It could be like select more than one options, like select meshmate or committee members, or select two badges at once to show that. Like we can group also, but grouping them, um, like just showing these all badges individually will make a lot of options, and new user may get confused, like how many options are there, how many badges are there. So group them according means group like one single option like badges, and they have all different types of badges in them. That can be an option. I hope I'm sound clear.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I definitely got the first part about what you were sort of talking about. You know, you were reasoning over multi-select versus single select, and then the second part though, when you were talking about, it sounded like you were maybe not sold on the use of
Multi-select
groups,
option, yes.
and then I missed what you had suggested would be the alternative.
I think, yeah, the main like uh, we can just have one option badges, and that have all the different types of badges in it, like all when a user selects badges, then any member which has any type of badge in it, it gets showed up.
Oh, got you. Okay, yep. Your that second part of your suggestion is sort of leaning toward either a second drop down, or like if you listed out all the badges on the page, someone could go select them to enable or disable a filter
Yeah.
for those badges. Yeah. So cool. Well, as we try to move forward, like I'll give, I mean, I guess, you know, as I'll go to cast a vote, and it's really probably toward what Josh was saying about getting things into a group. Like I think as you all, so I'm gonna leave it ambiguous for I think probably Josh in this case to make a final call with respect to the inputs that you all have, and maybe he'll do it after the call, maybe he'll do it on the call. One thing to think, or one other suggestion that I'll throw out, and that is, yeah, I mean, like Kashambi is just saying that, like maybe, wait, Kashambi, you're saying the user is displayed with active, inactive members in.
So what I'm saying is when the user selects suppose community from the drop down, so he's displayed with other two options, like the next table, the next filter is displayed when he selects the option. That too beside the current drop down.
Yep. So I think that are you saying there would be a separate control for inactive and active?
I'm saying that it's a separate controller. We need to have a different drop down. It will be the current drop down, but if you select suppose one of the options, which is suppose meshmate or community, sorry, MS hub or community. So as soon as he hovers on the option, he's displayed with two different options, like active members or non-active members, or any or other options other filter, some other filter. As soon as he hovers on the option he wants to select.
Did anyone else get that exactly?
Yeah, she means to have the group thing, but it won't be displayed on the first. If you hover on a group name, let's say the group name is members, then if you hover on it, you get the two options, active or inactive. From what I can get, yeah, I understand this.
Got you. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Like, Yeah, sort of a second level selector, sort of like, hey, if we're going to have 3 groups, if we're going to have badges, status, and role as like 3 different categories, then maybe that's what you see in the first drop down. And then from there, it expands into a second set or some other. Yeah. Cool. Okay. That's a great thought as well, Kashambi. So I'm going to try to take a few notes to tie off to kind of characterize the set of questions. Maybe we'll let this, I'll let it be, Josh, is it okay if we let that simmer for a little bit and sort of circle back toward the end of the call
Yeah. Like I would just say that it is not like a thing where we need to like invest so much of time. Like if it takes so much to have the multi-select option or the group that option, then we can have a simple one. But yeah, we'll look into if we can try out these things and we can see if whatever works out. So I would just ask Devopriya if she can try out, and if anyone else wants to help, then you can just try and drop the screenshots or the video on the Slack channel, and we can then make a final call about that.
Okay, I'll try to add the groups over here. Like you said, the badges, status, and role. I'll try to group them like into subdivisions, and I'll send the screenshot.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Beautiful. That's awesome. All right. All right. So next topic is, I guess, some items on pull requests that are under review on mesh3.io. So if we bring those up, mesh3.io pulls. Okay. So there's a couple. So is Nikhil Sharma on? Hopefully, no. Let's go ping Nikhil Sharma real quick. He's got some changes. Okay, pinged. All right. So one of the first up here is the community forum has been updated by Anshu. This is to fix 492. All right. 492 would have, okay, so it's a 1-line change. He's adding a link to the relatively new or the newer site that we have, which is this Discuss site, which has a brand new post on it. Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, that looks like that's an easy one. So Nikhil Sharma has put up a couple of different pull requests. So Josh, did you want to walk through these?
I did not. I was unable to talk to Nikhil about those pull requests. So I think we can keep this issue, keep this topic later into the next meeting. We can skip this for now because these changes we already discussed in the last meeting, and we discussed about having more important changes for now on mesh3.io. So I just wanted to discuss about the first one, that was the UI modifications by Anshu's PR. So I thought he might be present, but he's not. So we can skip this topic as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think, yep, sounds good. And his changes is just to add one more bullet point.
So the thing was he was directed to add 3 things, but so he only added 1 for now. And so I just wanted to convey about having the he asked me on Slack about how to go ahead with the other 2 parts. So that's why wish if he was present, then I could just tell him how we can go ahead.
Gotcha. Got it. Makes sense. All right, fair enough. So next topic up is the discuss site, the staging to production. Josh, I think I might have put this. Did you?
Yeah, so in this, I just wanted to talk about two things. First one was the Devopriya's, I guess Devopriya's changes on the header about hiding the menu links on a mobile view, and the second one was about the Twitter feed. So I tried to have the Twitter feed, but we have to make a few more changes because we already have a very long latest section in the current production site. So first of all, we need to make it fixed height, and then we can add the discussion. Sorry, the Twitter feed here. So
Gotcha.
that's why it's on hold currently.
Okay. Latest. Okay, and then Devopriya's changes to the about the, is it about responsiveness of?
Yeah, it was when we go to the mobile view, so this menu component was was creating the responsiveness issue. So we just hide it on mobile view because we cannot have another hamburger menu bar because we already have one. So the best option was to hide it on mobile view.
There was one more thing. I was supposed to change the logo on the staging discuss site, but I don't think I had the access to change the image source. So I've checked it, I've verified it. It works with that as well, but I couldn't change the source.
I don't think so. There might be some issue. All admins would have. I'll let you know if that's permission issue, but I guess it won't be that.
No, actually, even I tried changing it after she told me. Even I couldn't get it to change.
Okay, we'll look into it then.
Yeah.
Did it complain about PNG versus SVG or anything like that?
No. That was long ago.
Also,
Okay.
take a look at the footer. If like, does it look okay now? I can't seem to get those words in the same line. Like we discussed in the last meeting, I tried the entire week, but like it's mobile responsive and everything, but right now the service mesh feature comparisons, they all come into one line, but like in like the normal view, it doesn't work.
I guess there's excess padding or margin. If you can
Yeah,
remove
I've
that.
tried removing the margin and the padding, but still the words don't come into the same line. They just all move in together.
Okay, I'll look into and get back to you about that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good deal. I'm going to try to take some notes and okay. So the next one up is Anshu UI modifications. Is Anshu here? No, okay. UI modifications on, I think on Mesh.io. All right, Nikhil, good old Learn NG. Nikhil and Nitish, I don't know if you had worked in this area since last we spoke either.
Oh, I was kind of busy with something else. So, but we'll get this done. Like actually, there is an issue that's being worked upon right now, like adding sidebar components. So that is being worked upon right now. So
And is this for the navigation? Is this like the navigation of the internal of the individual courses on the sidebar?
like there will be an option to switch between the service meshes, right? That's what I'm talking about. Inside the particular course, inside a particular chapter, you can actually switch between the service meshes.
Yeah, right on. So we're
Yep,
here,
that's it. Yeah.
we're here, right here.
Yeah, I think this is just for the visual purpose that these are the service meshes we can learn, but actually in presence you can actually switch between those things, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, this looks nice. Great. This part is slightly challenged in so much as it might make sense that the lettering is white, but and I wonder if that isn't true for this yellow as well. If white isn't the way to go on the font, I don't know. Oops. Let's
So
see.
currently those cards have a front matter defined in all the embed files. So we can define the color itself for each of the learning path that we have. So once so based on what color we define, we can change the color of the font or the text that we get on the card. But
Okay.
being the colors, the brand colors that we have, I think white will go with all of them. So keeping white would make sense.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, in that case, I guess we should have to change the logo color as well, because that can go like we have to differentiate, right?
Which logo color?
Inside the card that we were displaying. Yeah, if we were to change this to white, all the text to white, then we'll have to have an element of differentiation between the logo and the text, no?
So the cards part, like I'm not sure if we will find like at the end when we will go live, they will keep the as a solid color for the cards, or will we change it to
Okay.
use the actual logo for the service mesh
Okay.
and change the design of the card accordingly. So since it's still in the development, we are keeping it as a solid color because I think designs are in progress. I don't remember the name of the person, but
Sajad. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't.
Sajad, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold our breath for Sajad to produce something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, where's the learn engine?
Yeah, that.
There was, so the so kind of the current design that's being used is like this. And so we can, sort of quickly, those logos are pretty bad, but we can kind of quickly take a look at what it would be to have all white. And yeah, to Nitish's point, like, yeah, stuff might get fairly washed out. But what else was, but I brought this up because there is another set of designs, this other one. So what would it look like if that was too much white and that doesn't work? Like one of the designs had been to look a bit like this. It's like, actually that's not quite right. I think that's inside of the course. On the outside of the course, it was something like this. And this is a little too bland, actually. Okay, what was another one? Well, another one was to look like this. Okay, that could, yeah, you know, there's different things that could potentially work.
Actually, considering the working of the site, like all the sections and navigating to the pages, almost everything is complete. We have just one sidebar component which Nitish highlighted, and the other one is adding the service meshes section, and then we are good with the structure of the site. And only the design part which would need to be changed.
That's
Right. There is a person who is working on that terminal part. There is open PR. It says that it's not yet responsive.
Yeah, I am working on that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we have open PR for that, but it's not yet responsive. So once
Yeah,
that's done,
I
we
have
are
to
good.
make it mobile responsive. Actually, I was working on that, but then I started working on Mesh CTL, and my system it's not currently able to open that websites. I'm working on that.
Okay,
I will.
that's a bad review, I would say.
Overpowered misery.
Yeah, I have to install Kubernetes, then micro K8s, then Mesh Cube, then so I'm not able to right now open layer 5 sites. My laptop is getting fully hanged.
Oh, then you can try. Okay, okay. You might try stopping the Docker process and the Kubernetes process in the backend before
Yeah, yeah.
starting to run that. Okay. I'm not sure. Me and Chinmay had a discussion a few days back that he might be working on adding the Linkerd course as well. And we actually have two more courses ready which needs to be migrated. I will try and open an issue today itself for both of the courses. One of them being Advanced SPO Service Mesh and the other one being Introduction to Service Mesh using Linkerd.
nice. That's great. Yeah, and Nikhil, you're right. Like of what I've seen on the site, there are only a few places that are left to be completed. Now, I thought I'd seen this component working in the past.
If you go to the courses, one of the courses,
Okay.
get started. Either there you
Nice.
have. This is an incomplete course, but if you go to one of the complete courses, like if you go back, mastering service mesh, introduction to service mesh, and start.
Oh yeah, sweet. Hey, look at this. This. Hold on. This looks good. Dang. Yeah. Oh, nice. Ah, that feels good. Huh. Dang. Look at this styling. Look at this. I love the font. Oh, this is clean too. Man, I did such a great job on this. This is amazing. Nikhil, this is great, man. This is, oh, wow.
Actually, Nitish worked on this. He pushed out all the chapters in one of the PRs. So we have this one course ready.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. That's just like I was saying, Nikhil, you did such a great job on this, man. I'm just messing with Nitish now. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I don't care because like there were a lot of help from Nikhil as well. So I don't
Yeah.
consider the whole thing like, you know.
Yeah, it's the way it always is. Yeah, it's never one person. Like it's never. But yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, I know I've said it a number of times now. Like, but it's actually worth saying it. I'm glad that I said it as many times as I did because it's an interesting thing. How serious people take this. Like, if someone's really going to study this stuff, it takes a while. It's fairly deep. You got to do all the stuff that Ayushman was saying with like micro-K8s and Kubernetes and then Meshry and then the service mesh and so people are fairly serious about this, and it takes it, you know, it being as well structured, it being as well formatted as it is, for someone to, you know, actually want to walk through it. And yeah, you can imagine receiving a certificate of completion or having taken some quizzes or what have you, and being, but you know, being proud of that. So that's, so right now. All right, so I'm studying. I get on my getting started. I go through. I'm doing the work. Okay, yeah, that's working good. Okay, all right, yeah, I verified my install. Okay. Oh wait.
Yeah, we would be needing a pagination in that part, like a next button to the next page.
Okay.
That is something which is missing.
Something, you know, an alternative to think about. Not that it either way would work, but is the possibility of this following you as you scroll.
Right. These were the few things which I had in mind while developing it, but later on I forgot it and haven't made the changes.
Sure. And that was probably Nitish's part he was supposed to do. He probably didn't get it done, so I get it. Cool. Okay. Okay. I've got. By the way, anyone else is welcome to take notes as well, so you don't have to. Okay. I guess just before we move away from here, there's some things that are fairly clear. One of those is the component for switching between service meshes. So we're aware of that. There's I think more or less the same sidebar course outline. I think another rendition of that is to land somewhere. Is to go onto a different area of the site, right? Like if you're, yeah, under the learning path itself. Learning path sidebar. Okay. Ayushman, there is, boy, what are we calling it? It's sort of this splash.
Terminal image.
By the way, this is not, I mean, like whatever this is just some quickly made up thing that, like we probably need a different graphic. I'm not sure if it'll say what awaits you, or like, I think that was the concept, that what was supposed to go in here this is not literally the text, but it was about what to expect in the course. And like, it could also be a set of testimonials instead, or it could be both. Like eventually we have testimonials and right here it's like, you know, I don't know, some other, basically an advertisement for the courses.
Yeah, like if you go to the open peers, the addition of that new terminal is a much better improvement compared to what we have right. Share link. I've pasted it in the chat.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, we have that interactive terminal. We have, and so nice. I mean, yeah, this is now in this case, is this a static? We're not scrolling with this, are we? Or is this static?
No, no, we are not scrolling. It's just static.
Okay.
I feel like there's also a preview penalty, so you can open it as well. That would be much better.
Oh, there's a preview in here. Okay. Yeah. Play this or click on the preview. Oh, no.
At the top of this, that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's actually, it's funny. This is prettier than these are.
Actually, that steals away the highlight of the page.
Yeah, yeah. So this is nice. I mean, and this is great. This is indicating to you that there's, labs to go through, things to learn on the command line. It's pretty. Yeah, it does call into question. It does draw people's attention down here because it's not. These need something else. Like I was never convinced that the green and yellow is like the way to go. It's gaudy actually a little bit. Like it is just as call to action buttons. Okay, yeah, using that green or that yellow, like sure, like you should go click on that button. But having it as a whole thing is like one thing that had been a large part of our influence on this site has come from, or we've certainly looked at. HashiCorp has learn.hashicorp.com, and so they've made an update. This isn't what it used to look like. So this is my first time seeing it. Interesting. They've got a little bit of a. I think they're having some browser issues. Maybe not. So what they've got is video, interactive, step-by-step video. I think they're watching our recordings because they're starting to do things like we are. So they have step-by-step. Great. They have interactive labs, just like we are. It's the same thing, right? The catacotas. And then they have video, which we'll have to work on. Okay, fine. Explore our tutorials to automate your workflows. Learn at your own pace. Search tutorials, that's cool. They indicate to you that you can press backslash to activate, to go focus there. But this is weird because why would they not be? How do you browse the tutorials if they make you search for them? That's interesting. Get to know our products. Oh, I thought that was a footer. Okay. Get to know our products. So this takes you to the product. No, this takes you to the learning module for that. Okay, that's fine. So this is how you browse now, is down here. If you wanted to search for something, you could. And then they separately have announcements that are, announcements for the tutorial. This whole thing, I actually thought this was one big footer, but HashiConf announcements as it relates to tutorials, that's interesting. It's a little bit confusing to me. This doesn't seem to, anyway, one thing to look at is, okay, they've got a card and it's talking, and they've got, it shows what technology is included, and it has a small gradient radial highlight going on. That's a little bit different than what they'd had in the past. They had a radial gradient thing, but it was more like the whole card was colored pink in this case. The whole card was colored like greenish in this, or yellow in this case. So they've definitely changed the style of their site. And it's beautiful. So we go here. Now they're showing you, see this little learning path? It's this little ticker that shows you that you're going in a series, okay? So you can bookmark, fine, if you sign in. They've got, this is console itself, getting started use cases. There's your certification prep. Anyway, something to browse for people to look over to get some inspiration, because I don't think that our designs today really hit the spot. There's something definitely to taking that color and making it much lighter, and that's a possibility. We wouldn't want to have the logo, like this. It's possible that we would have like a portion of the logo coming out, at the bottom corner potentially. But okay. Okay, we're about 5 minutes out. Well, what else to talk about? Sure. Should we keep talking about, should we try to actually, should we get more specific about things that need to be done here? It looks like Ayushman, you've got, I guess it's Nitish is going to maybe make that section a little more responsive. But Ayushman, there's an open PR up that does look pretty great for the interactive terminal. The text needs to be updated to say some other things, but other than that, that section looks pretty good. That leaves the cards looking even worse because
One
hello?
design.
Yeah, continue.
So one design that, as you mentioned, Lee, that we might have is have the cards as the white background, and on the bottom right we can have the service mesh icon popping out.
yeah.
And for these cards, we can have the Meshy logo as popping out similar to them, or we can use a slightly different prospect to them.
Right. Just looking to see if we had something similar already. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, because it's in this case, it's a little more like less is more, like more subtle, less color, and then just bring in a logo or.
Yeah.
And actually, it's like, well, would they all just be meshery? It's like, well, no, not necessarily. Here's an alternative example of kind of something sort of similar about like cards for labs. So this is the interactive labs that we have already. It's like, okay, well, there's two categories of cards. These are about a specific service mesh. And actually, it's kind of an interesting look as well as like, what happens if the logo is white and the text is white? Oh, well, here's an example of what that looks like. Okay, these are slightly offset because they've got this green outline. It's not that maybe this shouldn't be a colorized logo, like maybe it should be, maybe that would work better. Okay, we'll come over here. This is just an accident because we had so much going on. I think this was supposed to be all white, but it's a good example of what it would look like if it's not all white. So yeah, to what Nikhil said, I think there's a lot of merit to that. Cool. What else? Nikhil, Ayushman. Ayushman, do you I don't know how to describe the area that you're looking at, but what awaits you? Okay. All right. So with just a couple minutes left, I'll toss out a couple of things that you all can think about, especially if you're maybe if you're looking for something to do. There's a few things on Meshery.io that are in need of help. Some of this Nikhil Sharma has been toying around with, has been giving thought to, trying some things out with. Uh-oh, what happened? We're missing a picture. Uh-oh, that's weird. Does anybody know, did we remove that? Is it my browser? Huh. We removed this picture, huh? When everyone else brings up the Meshery.io page, wow, I guess I didn't realize what we were doing last time we merged. Oh no, there's the picture now, okay. So did it take that long to load? Huh. Okay, some of the issues are, if you want to learn about Meshery and its features, good. How do you do that? You scroll this page and it takes you through each feature. Okay, that's one way. It's nice to have it described. Not everyone wants to take the time to read each one. A lot of people won't. So there is a features, like a categorized set of features like this. The only way that you see this today is by going to features in the bottom, but this is mediocre. It's kind of crappy that every link at the bottom just takes you to the same spot. It's not visually, you don't get a lot of visual differentiation between what do you mean by life cycle and configuration. So, okay, by configuration, you operate with best practice, manage with like the verbs and the tone is a little bit off. So anyway, this is in need of help. Another thing that's not so great is if you go to programs, like that's makes you want to throw up. This is disgusting. Just visually, it's disgusting. This isn't so great either. Like this is, this isn't okay. Fine. There's a bigger question of, well, hey, we've got a bunch of community members here many of whom are not, this is totally out of date. And I think we've agreed to be rid of this in favor of the one on layer5.io, but we haven't taken action yet. So anyway, it's another trouble area. So for what Dave Priya was working on, here's an example of, well, it's not grouped by category, but it's just a different way that it was implemented before. Oof. Terrible. That's not good. Okay. All right, but as we wind up, there's one thing that we should for sure do, and that's fix the broken link. Anybody want to fix that broken link now? Or open up an issue on this? All right, Arshan, do you want to do that?
Okay, that will be fine.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Anybody else interested in like taking a crack at the features page? I think Nikhil Sharma is looking at this. Maybe if you're interested, but you're not quite sure what would be done, maybe brainstorm with Nikhil Sharma, since I don't have a better suggestion. Anybody want to think about this? The community page and what would displace it? It's not the easiest thing. Okay. Okay. Anybody have any other items before we conclude? Nice.
Hello, Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions about meshry-ctl actually, meshry-ctl command. Can I discuss it here?
Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's first thank you. Let's first dismiss everyone or conclude the other meeting, and then yeah, anyone who wants to hang out can catch up. So I guess that's probably it. On the website, it's called Thanks a bunch, all. The LearnNG is like very cool, almost done. If anyone's interested to hang out to talk about meshry-ctl, you're most welcome to. Otherwise, I'll give everyone a minute to say goodbye and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Aditya. Bye, guys. Bye, Nitish. Thank you, David Priya. Yeah. All right. Bye, all. Okay. So, Yushman, yeah.
So I have I have installed meshry-ctl and minikube and microcade, but that one problem is that it's not starting with absolutely with Docker. Like with Docker platform, it asks for .cube. That I have resolved. That I have fixed with installing microcades. It's getting started actually. But then one issue is that when I was starting meshry-ctl, then it started downloading a lot of files actually, about 700 to 800 MBs of files. So is it normal for like meshry to like update every time it starts, like download about a huge volume of data? Is
Yeah,
it normal?
it is, especially the first time you go to run Meshry, it will, it might take a little while because it downloads the adapters and Meshry server for the first time. As you go to start Meshry subsequently, it will pull the latest images. And if you have the latest, then it doesn't take very long at all. It just does a quick check and then moves on. If you don't have the latest, then it will only pull the different, it may not need to pull the entire image, but just the most recently changed layers, in that container image. So on initial start, yeah, it's kind of a lot, mostly because there's two reasons. Because one, maybe you're not using that mesh, whatever mesh it is. And so you don't want that adapter. But then two, the Meshry server image, yikes, it's large. And there are things that can be done to reduce that size.
Okay. And also, my Meshry UI is not opening. For example, when I'm opening with Docker platform, then only it's opening. But when I'm like starting meshry-ctl system start or meshry-ctl system platform Kubernetes, then it's not opening. Like UI is saying site not opening or site not responding. It's giving errors. So I'm not sure, is it Meshry error or my system's error? I asked that similar issue in yesterday also in meshry-ctl in Slack channel, but then I think Aditi Ahuja said that it's Meshry issue, like the site is not Meshry UI is not opening.
I think it is Meshry's issue. Well, I mean, I know it's meshry-ctl's issue. Like I get the question is, when you deploy on Kubernetes, at the end it says Meshry is now available at this endpoint.
Yeah,
and it gives you a URL.
When I go that at endpoint, then the site is not opening. That UI site is not opening for that.
Yeah. So it is. I believe that Meshery server, Meshery that serves you the UI, I believe that it is running fine. I believe that the most likely culprit here is
I checked the pods also. The pods were running fine. Kubernetes pods were running fine, but only the site was not opening.
it's about networking. It's about how it is that Meshery's server is being exposed through the network on your machine. And there's a bunch of virtual networks when you're running. So you're running micro K8s, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as this is done, I could show you an example of it working or an example of it not working on Kubernetes. So I think right now I'm starting up a session, or I'm doing a deployment that is on Docker. System context view. I've only got one context. It's for the Docker platform. It automatically popped it up like this. So when it got done, like it's working just like you said on Docker. Okay, fine. Yeah, Lee, that's what I said. Okay, yeah, that's what I know you said. I said. But so let's do a context, create. I'll call mine Kate's. I'll just call the name of the context Kate's, and I'll say I want the platform -p to be Kubernetes. Okay, and I didn't do it right. Measure CTL system context, create, give it the name, and then give it flags. You could do error adding a context name already exists. Oh, okay. If I just do a view all, I actually have two contexts, and that's the exact same one I already have. And so fine. So let me do this. I'll do it. Mesh CTL system. So we'll actually test the Mesh CTL commands. So one, what version am I running? I don't think it's set. I think it's a bug still. So,
Yeah.
oh wait, hold on.
I think it got resolved yesterday. I saw that.
Yeah, good point. I'm having to wait on my system. It gets stuck because I press tab. Mesh CTL brew upgrade. Wow, how many releases did we chew through this weekend? Like three releases. Impressive.
Like we have to manually upgrade every time a new release comes from Mesh CTL. Like I thought that whenever we start Mesh CTL, it checks for updates and it updates it. We have to manually update.
Yeah, like it's only Meshry CTL that needs to be manually updated. The rest, all of the other components can be automatically upgraded. Meshry CTL is like, it becomes even harder for us because, well, how did you install it? Did you use Scoop or Brew or the Bash script, or did you download it directly? Like, okay, well, so that's fixable. We can do that. We can either ask someone or we can write some logic that just figures it out. Like, do you see this? Okay, then they're running Brew. Do you see that? Then they're running Scoop, and we can go figure it out. But to date, we haven't. That logic isn't there. That's potentially something that you might want to do. It is one of those areas where it's like, oh boy, are we going to get ourselves in more trouble by trying to write more code to figure this out? Or should we just have the user do it manually? And so there is a document called Upgrading Meshery. This will tell you in more detail about how each individual component gets upgraded. Please, can you read this, please? And it says upgrading Meshery CLI. Can you read this and make sure that it doesn't need to be updated to where to say what I just said. If in there it says what I just said, then I think we're okay. It's as much as we can expect, you know, that someone would go read it. Does that make sense for you to read?
Yeah.
Also, if you would check on this is a graphic, an SVG, I'm assuming maybe, that if you look at the Meshry architecture deck, that graphic may need to be upgraded. So in Meshry architecture deck, there's a slide, I think, for upgrading. The question is, does it have all the components? I don't know. Okay, back to your question though. Okay, so for Lee to prove his point, like, okay, system, start, and I'm going to send it a context, Kate's. It's like, start this context. Okay, so this case, it's downloading the Edge release of Meshry. Which might take a second because, yeah, there is a new release of Meshry.
And also, like when we do some changes in start.go or any other file, then we have to again build Meshry.ctl for seeing those changes, or they are automatically seen when we do that .meshry.ctl some changes. We have to again build the binaries.
Yeah, you have to again build the binary.
Okay.
And that's not like it's a crappy, like that's kind of a Golang. Like there might be something that we can use or do, to help improve the developer experience. Like anytime you detect a change in any of the Meshry.ctl files, like the subfolder of Meshry.ctl, go ahead and rebuild like a watch could be set up to rebuild like that if you like. That's something that would be welcomed. Like I'm sure I wouldn't mind having that.
Thanks.
Yeah, because otherwise the flow is you make changes, save the changes, go over, rebuild the thing, then it's like, yeah, hey, why don't we just have it auto rebuild? Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so here's what I just did. I just deployed Meshry. Opening Meshry in your browser. If Meshry does not open, please point your browser to here. Okay, 2 issues. 1, did this invoke and open up a browser in my face like the other one did? It didn't, and I don't think that was my issue. Like, let's go ahead and run it again. It should do it fairly fast because all that should be there. And at the end of which it should pop up the browser. That's one issue. If it doesn't pop up my browser, that's one issue. The second thing is that we can click to go try. Okay, so here, either Meshry, okay, here, wait, hold on, here comes. Meshry is started. Okay, it did pop up my browser. Okay, that's not a bug. Okay, we've got that. But there is a bug where it's basically what you're saying. Well,
yeah.
All right, so let's go take a look. I'm sitting here doing a Kubernetes. I'm just getting the pods that are running in Kubernetes. I'm literally using the command watch. It doesn't matter, but so Meshry server, where are you, Meshry server? You're here. You've been running for about 3 minutes now. You should be you should be ready to go, ready to rock and roll. Like, why are you not? Okay, well, let's take a look. So the script said, or the install said it was available at this port. But when I go to that port, it doesn't return. Okay. 9081. Hold on, let me do a, so I'm on Docker desktop, and actually where it's exposed for me is at 9081. So one of the ways to look at this is, I'll get the services in the Meshry namespace. So okay, here's my Meshry server service. It is set up for load balancer type networking. Good. Because of that, it doesn't get an external IP address assigned. And it is mapping the internal container port 9081 to an external port this. So even in my environment, like this is not ideal because this isn't concluding. It might be that I had You know how I was running the one in Docker and the one, I started this one? It may have had a port conflict at the time.
Okay.
So if I,
You have to stop that Docker one.
yeah, so I'll check. So I did stop. No, I didn't, did I? Yeah, you're right. No, that's it. You're right. So, yeah. So I think what I was, okay, so where you and I are going to end is we're going to say, oh, I'm going to, it's going to work for me on Docker desktop. I'm going to say, well, Yushman, it looks like we have a bug for micro K. Its networking is working a little differently. How do we ensure that the logic that runs to figure out where Meshery's endpoint will be, how do we make sure it returns the right port URL and port number? And that will lead us into a couple of things. So first we'll say for micro Ks, do they have a choice? Is networking a configurable thing? What are those? I'm sure you have the default settings, but like, what are those default settings? And understanding those will help with the logic that needs to be written basically in MeshKit. In MeshKit, there's a utility for, I forget the name of the utility, but it's basically it's the logic that goes and figures this out. And it needs to have micro K8's specific consideration. So now if I just go run this same service, I go check to see if that port freed up, it did. Kubernetes then said, oh, that port's free. I'll go ahead and make the mapping complete. And so as a user, if I just say status of my K8's deployment, my K8's context, it still tells me it's the same endpoint. Okay, let me click that endpoint. So I still can't get to that. It might have arrived at the wrong logic because it would have told me this, but because this wasn't provisioned, it said, well, that's not working, so it must be this. And so like part of this, like that's an area for improvement potentially, but it's also kind of not, whoops, Meshery's fault, kind of. So I'm just going to restart that deployment. And it should be the case that this thing gets bumped and reassigned. So Meshery pod here is it's getting killed and it's getting created over here. So our one that was running for 7 minutes is like dying. It's about to go away. And we'll have one that'll be about a minute old. Die. Okay, it's dead. Here's our new one. And looks like, we got I don't know if that's the same. That's a different, same port, I guess. So when this command completed the restart, did it show me the endpoint? It's like, hey, Ayushman, that's something to file is like show user endpoint on restart. We should file a ticket on that. Okay, so, but if I try to browse to 30793, that port, 30793, it still doesn't come up. So that's also like, I think I'm seeing the same bug that you are.
Yeah, I think so.
This has been like an issue at various points because the networking in there is a little bit challenging. Or you have to figure it out. So Yushman, maybe we'll leave it at that. You have two issues on your hand. One is to tell people the endpoint after restart. And the second issue is it may not be just affecting micro K8s either. It might be that the endpoint, the logic for figuring out what that endpoint is for Kubernetes systems, it still needs improvement. If we go look like right now, Meshery was gone. The whole thing is being recreated. It is creating it in my case as a load balancer. It did assign the external IP right away. Meshery server is up. The external IP, okay, so do you have a new port here? Let's see if when it's done running, if it tells me to go to localhost 31738 or to localhost 9081. And this should be a real run, right? Because I wasn't running some other Meshery and messed it up and all that. And in this case, it figured it out correctly for me. It says, you know what? Don't go to that other funky port. Just go to this one, and we're good. And actually, that's correct. I am good. Like, so it for micro, you have the two issues is like, you know, again, showing the endpoint after restart, but the second issue is networking for microcates. I need more coffee. Does that help?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. We have a WebAssembly filters call in 30 minutes, which means I'm off for a 15-minute nap.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm also thinking.
And so Ayushman, you're most welcome. Have you been on that other call, by the way?
Which one? WebAssembly.
It's yeah, WebAssembly filters.
I think not, because I have to go somewhere.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, it sounds like I will not see you on that call today, but cool. But Sayatan, maybe I'll see you there as well. Yes, that's good. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Thanks for asking the question. It was great to see both of you guys on Saturday. I was much less tired then, so. Cool. Okay, well, I'll talk to you guys in just a bit or what have you. So.
Okay, thanks for it.
Okay, yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See ya.